What's going on, everybody? As you can see, we're here with a lot of drones, and my buddy Lee, I've known him for about 10 years, fellow photographer, and as you can tell, drone operator. We're going to be doing mainly a comparison between the new DJI Air 2S and the drone that I was really looking at before it, and I was very close on buying, the Evo II 6K, which is right in front of him. I've got Lee here because he's been flying it for like a year. He also just got the Air 2S, so we're going to be doing a little comparison between the actual photo components of it. Lee, is there anything you really like about the drone?
This thing has been awesome. One thing that stood out when I first got it, because I had the Mavic Pro before, was the weight. This is a lot heavier unit. The battery's a little bit heavier, makes the whole thing heavier, which makes it a little more stable when you have like high wind or something.
Nice.
It just kind of hangs in the air and doesn't blow around as much. The other thing that I love about this, ease of operation. I can get it out, open it up, power everything up, and be in the air in under 5 minutes.
Man, you mentioned that was one of the big selling factors that I did really love about it. The fact that you can literally just turn it on and go. The DJI has so many like menus built into it that It's kind of a cluster dealing with.
Yeah, the way they've got the controller set up, you can add your phone to use as a viewfinder, but the screen is so crisp and clear, I don't even bother putting my phone on it.
I was actually really surprised when you showed me that earlier, how nice the screen looks, because DJI screens, you had to pay extra to get that like crystal sky or whatever they called it, and that was a really nice screen, but all the other ones basically didn't exist.
Exactly. So overall, I've really enjoyed using this one. The other great thing about it is blaze orange. So if it does go down in the woods, you can find it.
All right, well, we've gone over these few drones a little bit. Now we're going to go kind of over like a shot for shot. We're going to put one of the Airs up, we're going to put one of the Evos up, and we're going to basically put them in the same shot and take the same photo on each drone, and we'll throw them up on the screen so you can see what those look like. What's going on, everybody? As you can see, we are now up in the air with the controllers in our hand. I've got the Air 2S, Lee's got the Evo 8K, and we're gonna do basically a shot for shot for photography. We're gonna put each drone in roughly the same spot and take the same picture, and we'll be able to compare those two later. Boom. All right, we're walking off screen a little bit here because we're trying to track the drones as we go around, but we're literally just going from location to location, one after each other, same height, same location, roughly same angle as much as possible, and we're gonna put all those together so you can see them in a little bit. So here we go. Uh-oh, Evo 2 problems! Evo 2 problems! We'll be back as soon as we know what's going on. All right, everyone, we figured out what the problem was, and it was the battery. The battery's dead. I am currently still at 40% with the Air 2S. The Evo 2 8K just ran out of battery, so that was the problem. As you can see, let me back away. Oh, you can't see him. He's way over there in the distance. He's fixing the battery on the drone right now, so as soon as that's done, we'll throw it back up and continue the testing. All right, we got the battery switched up. We're back in the air. We have a few more photos to take, and then we'll kind of go back in the studio, talk about the experience, and then kind of look at all the footage together and talk about it a little. What is going on, everybody? As promised, we're in the studio and we're going to go over the images that we took with the DJI and the Evo and kind of compare the two. Now, this video is just specifically about the photos. The next video following up with this one, we're going to be doing video, and then we're going to get Lee back in the studio to talk about his experience with the two different ones, just since he was so brand new to the Air 2S, never flown a 2, and compared to the Evo. I've never really flown the Evo, so I would be a bad person to ask that comparison of. Might as well ask someone who's been flying it for a long time. So that being said, what I'm going to do is throw up some images on the screen, and I'm going to go through those images with you. I'm going to look through them on my phone though, so I'll just be talking from this point on. This first image is from the DJI. Now, you can tell instantly that these are now edited images instead of the raw images I was showing you earlier. One thing to keep in mind when you look through these images, especially the raw ones earlier, I did notice that the DJI straight out of camera seemed to be a little more of a usable image. The Evos all seem to be very bright to me, and I thought that was kind of strange considering it has a veritable aperture just like most other drones, but the DJI does not. It's got the fixed aperture, and I just had a 4ND filter on it for everything. So, as you can see, this is the edited image from the DJI, and it looks great. All the colors are fantastic. Now, keep in mind, once again, this is an edited raw image. Both of these will be comparisons of raw images and not JPEG. So these are all edited raw images. So the colors look great, very vibrant, everything's sharp, everything looks great. Now we'll go on over to the second image, which is the Autel. The first thing I notice about this one compared to the other one is that the 4:3 ratio looks different. I don't know which one is more accurate, but I do notice that this one seems to be a little bit more narrower. I think maybe this Evo's 4:3 may look a little bit better. I have the Air 2S set for video mainly over photo, so that could have something to do with it. But I did notice that instantly. I also noticed while editing these two that the image from the DJI was easier to edit. It seemed like the color representation was easier to pull out, that didn't require as much manipulation. But once again, it still has really good saturation, has really good color rendition. Its sharpness is great. When you compare it right over to the two, like I said, I just think the DJI has a slight advantage in how easy it was to grade the footage for color accuracy. Once again, this is all about real estate, and color accuracy is key. Maybe not necessarily for the yard and everything, but for the house, it does matter. Now we'll go on one more time. Now this image is the second set of images. This first one is the DJI again. And once again, this is just to show you, you can see the clear delineated line between the two properties. Like, that's how good the saturation difference is, or the color representation, should I say. You can see all of the gravel driveway and everything of the property. Like, the house is still the same color that it actually is. The pool in the background has a little bit of a blue hue. Everything looks like it's the correct color, the correct saturation. And once again, it was fairly easy to get to this point from the image I started with. Now we go over to the Evo, and the colors look a little bit different. They actually look a little bit brighter. The blue in the pool looks a little bit better. The blue on the house looks about the same. The gravel actually looks a little bit better in this one. So, and the clear delineation of the line. So I don't know, this one goes to the Evo maybe. Now, once again, far away, so it shows a whole lot of the property in front, so that way you get a good clear difference of the different color tones and stuff. This is the DJI again, and you can see the representation of color is very clear, very easy to edit. Switch on over to the Evo, and the saturation is a little bit higher. Once again, keep in mind, I'm just editing all of these from what I see But I will remember that this one was harder to arrive to this point. I can't tell if which one looks better. I think they both look about even. I would say maybe I have the saturation of the greens up a little bit too much on the Evo, but I don't know if I can blame it on that so much as I would blame it on myself. Now, straight top up view. This is from the Air 2S. Everything looks good. Once again, you can see the colors. Everything's great. Sharpness is there. Everything is nice. It's definitely better than my Phantom 4 Pro, without a doubt. Now we go over to the Evo, and once again, I think maybe I have the green pulled up a little too high for the saturation, but I think when you look at the two side by side, I can see differences in saturation grades of color in the grass better on the DJI than I can on the Evo. And once again, that was easier to attain in my editing process. Lastly, we'll go from the back of the house. This is with the DJI once again. Everything looks great. I mean, I don't know how many times I can say it. All the colors look good. The sky looks good. The trees look good. Everything's a correct color. Then we go over to the Evo and everything looks good except for, once again, the grass still has that kind of, like, I don't want to say it's neon, but it's this neon-y kind of gray to it. I think the sky looks a little bit better on the Air 2S over the Evo, but that's just me personally. What I really think is important is the fact that the DJI footage was actually a little bit just easier to grade. It was easier to get to my final product than it was with the Evo. Once I figured it out on the Evo 2, you know, I could sync that across all my settings, but getting that fine tuning in was just a little more difficult. I had very few slider adjustments to do with the one for the DJI Air 2S, but I had a lot more fine tuning of the slider adjustments and the colors and temperatures when I was editing the Autel Evo footage. So the real thing to take away from this is not which drone is better. It's that they're both awesome drones. They both really are great. They both blow my old drone completely out of the water. Everything about them is better. So that's all that really matters for me. Which one should you buy? I guess that's totally up to you. I would say maybe stay tuned for my next video that's dropping in a few days, and that one's going to be mainly about video instead of photos from the same session. And if you are a beginner drone operator that wants to offer video, it's a super important video because there's lots of tips in there for you. So with all that being said, keep shooting, keep rocking and rolling. If you like the information I provide and the way I provided it, please press that like button, mash that subscribe button, and as always, I'll check you next time.